Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for the Vampire Diaries Season 6, Episode 11, Woke Up With a Monster. And I kind of haven't been into this show lately. Like, I've wanted to be more into it, and I wasn't. And it was just like the last two episodes, I really was not into it. But this episode, I gotta say, was pretty solid. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good return to the show. And it's probably my favorite episode of this season, I gotta say. This episode was amazing. We got a lot of closing of storylines in this episode, quite a few storylines closed down in this episode, and honestly, this felt more like a season finale, the mid-season finale, than the actual mid-season finale did, and there are some things that I'm really liking that this mid-season finale is doing, that this second half of the season is doing so far, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with it, but let's just get into it, because I really enjoyed it, and, so yeah, let's just get to it. So Elena comes to with Kai talking about food. I love that he's just in the middle of a conversation when she wakes up. I thought that was really funny. Because, of course, at the end of the finale, Kai had kidnapped her and basically, gave her, like, an invisibility cloak so no one knows what he did to her. And she's tied to a chair, and she asks why she's there. I mean, we all really want to know what his agenda was, and we find out right away. He says she looks really pretty, and she asks again. He says he absorbed the Mystic Fall spell, that she was keeping the magic out of the city. He says it was a big spell, so it should last a while. He says he attacked the owner of the grill, and he exploded in blood, and she asks what the hell is wrong with him. He says if he fights with Joe now, he can't merge with her. He says he basically needs to practice on Elena. That's why he has her, is to practice on Elena. And he says he managed a cloaking spell, and thanks, Elena. He chants, and then she sees the dead manager lying in front of her. She's screaming. He says table for three and laughs, and I still love his character, I gotta say. I mean, he's so sick and he's so disgusting, but at the same time, he's awesome. I love that the second we saw him, he was in the middle of a conversation. It really shows how wacky of a character he is. I mean, really, he's the wackiest villain we've had. He's also the best villain we've had. I've talked about this before. I think he's the best villain I've ever had on the show besides Catherine. Really, I don't think we've had a better villain since Catherine, because I don't consider Klaus a villain because he's a good guy now in the original, so I don't consider him a villain, really. So I'd say, besides Catherine, this is the best guy we've had. How come all the villains start with K? I just realized that. Kai, Catherine, Klaus, I don't understand that. So we then see Stefan wakes up to music playing and noise. He goes downstairs, finds Jeremy shirtless. He asks if he can hook up some speakers at Caroline's, but Jeremy's already gone. Joe and Liv are there, and it's weird. He asks why Joe is there. She apologizes about the vase. She asks if it's expensive. Laura comes in, and Joe says Liv has her on 30 days pre-merge training plan, because basically, basically, Joe is planning on training to merge with Kai, and he asks where Damon is, and he's at Liz's hospital room now, and I gotta say, I love what they're doing with this plot. I think it's probably one of the best plots Vampire Diaries has done in a while. I love Liz's storyline, because, she has this cancer now and everything, and Liz asks why he's there. Damon says she has no idea how many would die to have him sleep in their room. He tells her that Joe has turned his house into Hogwarts, and they wonder where Kai is. And Caroline comes in with a Collie smoothie to slow her cancer. She fusses her mom. She fusses over her mom. She gets a blanket. You can see right away she's very concerned about Liz. She does not want anything bad to happen to her. She basically just wants her to live and, stay secure and everything. And Damon says she's literally smothering her, which she basically is. She's kind of just smothering her mother, and I like what Caroline says, though. I like seeing the side of Caroline. Caroline is pretty determined, and I gotta say, one of the things that people said, and I kind of agree, Caroline usually is thrown into plots. Like, she's usually thrown into plots. She's there to give people advice. She's usually a background character. It's kind of cool to see her have her own thing. I mean, this is literally her own thing. She's with her mother, and her mother has cancer. And it's really making a lot of things work a lot better. Like, her relationship with Stefan is a lot better. I definitely enjoy that more. And I love seeing the side of Caroline. This is why Caroline's my favorite character, because she gets to do awesome stuff like this. And the stuff she's getting to do in this episode was just awesome. Now, Caroline wants to give Liz vampire blood, but Liz does not want it. She's saying, no, you have to do this normally. And Damon says he doesn't support the vampire blood thing. He says vampire blood doesn't cure cancer as far as he's ever seen. And I kind of like this season. It seems like the theme of this season is more of human side of it, because it's hard to remember that this show takes place in where there are humans, because almost every single character on the show has something involved with magic, either whether they're a vampire, a werewolf, a witch, etc., whether they're one of those things. So it's kind of cool to see them take a back seat to that and kind of just use it as more of a human thing, and it makes the show a lot more interesting. It makes you care about the characters more, and it honestly makes the show a lot more likable, which I actually really like the show is doing, that they're kind of deviating away from magic and going more towards the human side of it, which I'm really enjoying. I hope they continue to do that, because I really like seeing that in this episode. Something new for the show. I mean, a lot of people have said that the show hasn't done anything new. I think this is new for them. I don't think they've done this a lot. Normally, they go towards magic, and in this episode, they went more towards the human side. So Liz tells her she'd rather give science a try, and Damon says that Mother knows best and says he has to go make sure witches aren't destroying his house. And Liv says Damon is vile but has great clothes, and Tyler asks why she's trying on Damon's clothes, and she says Joe charred her shirt, and he tells her to be careful not to let Kai know she's training Joe. They end the call, and Caroline is pleased to see that her mom kept her orchard alive, and Stefan shows up at the house to get her settled. Caroline asks if he's never seen anyone with stage 4 cancer before. He says he never has before, which I thought was interesting. He's never really seen a cancer patient before. Caroline comes down, hands her a Friends box set. She says she's going to give a second opinion from a world expert at Duke, and Stefan offers to give her a ride since he needs to check on someone there. And Caroline says he has no other friends but Liz. She says she wants him to go, and they head out, and one of the things I like is that they're playing with their friendship more definitely. You can definitely see in this episode, it's much more organic now that, you know, what's happened with Caroline's mom. Her and Stefan getting closer, it's not like they're randomly getting closer. No, they're getting closer because he's helping her out with this, and it's making them closer, and it's making them care about each other more, which I like seeing in this episode. I like they did that. It was cool to see them play around that a little bit. You know, I definitely really enjoy that they did that. So, basically, Caroline says, oh, I just read that. So, Kai looks at all the trophies and spots a photo of Elena and Bonnie, who, by the way, we did not see Bonnie in this episode, which I honestly did not have a problem with. I was fine that we didn't see Bonnie. I don't think we're going to see Bonnie anymore, honestly. He asks if it's okay if he turns her blood into acid again. He starts chanting. She begs him to stop. She tells him he's melting her daylight ring. The chains are holding her melt, and she runs, and she's literally being forced against her will to do these things with Kai, and she runs to a sink to try to stop the melting process, but it's too late. He's right there and asks her about it. He says he doesn't understand sentimental attachment. She used the fire on her hand to throw flame at him and takes off running. Damon comes in and answers a call from Elena, who tells him that Kai has trapped her at the school. Kai comes in and continues tormenting her, and basically, you know, she can't get away from it. So Caroline and Stefan are at a freshman art exhibit at Duke, and she asks who he knows there. And he tells her that he'll meet her late, and she should go see the expert. And what Stefan's planning on doing is that he is planning on seeing Sarah Nielsen's exhibit, and is given directions. He goes over to check it out, and Sarah, he wants to see the real Sarah, you know, the real Sarah, the real person that Monique pretended to be. So Sarah's there describing her work, and Enzo's there and says it's good stuff. Caroline talks to the expert about hypothermia to reduce tumors, and she shows the doctor her mom's chart, and she then touches the woman, compels her, and asks for her honest opinion. And the doctor says her doctors are doing everything right, says the only thing they can do is full brain radiation, which, because I understand why she did this, because she's sick of them not telling her anything. And it must be a very hard process. I've really never had to go through that, where you have to wait for the news of a, you know, the fate of a relative. But it must be, especially your own mother, it has to be like the worst thing ever, because you're literally just sitting there waiting for an answer. So she doesn't want to just sit around. Caroline's never that kind of character. She never wants to just sit around. She wants to get things done. That's always been how her character is, and that's why she compelled her for the most part. So I like seeing that. Basically, she actually has a patient with a similar condition who is just running down the clock, and Caroline says she wants to see this man, and the moment she said that, I'm like, this is not going to end well. I knew this was not going to end well, because I just didn't feel like this was going to end well. So Kai has Elena tied up again when she comes to, and Kai says she's crazy pants, and he knows why. Damon digs her. He crouches down in front of her, and she asks if he really doesn't care about anyone. He says he cared about his brother, Joey. He then talks about being his brother to death. He tells her not to waste her energy trying to change him. And he says he likes himself, not just the way he hits, and I like that Elaine asked him this question because we've seen that Kai does have morals. Like, there are things about him that he has morals, and he does have a soul, but he kind of got rid of it after he tortured them. So, Liv and Damon pull up outside the school. Damon tells her to do the stupid cloaking spell so he can grab Elena and get out. He tells her he hopes she can cloak better than she can teach. She tells him to chill out. She's gone then. And Luke is there saying she doesn't have time for this, but then Luke is gone too. That was kind of weird when he just was randomly gone. So Damon calls Alaric to tell him that Liv took off, and Joe says she can cloak him. Alaric doesn't like it, but Jeremy says he can come and do some killing, and Luke tells Liv that their dad wants to bring them back to Portland. You know, and she asks if he told their dad she's training Joe. He says she's wasting her time training Joe. And she says he cloaked her and can beat her easily if they merge. She says it's now, she basically says that it's now a coin toss. Basically, it's kind of like Liv versus Joe right now. And she says if they merge, they'll definitely die, and it scares her. And you feel bad for them, definitely, because, if they merge, then it's not going to end well for either of them. And she says he can pack the books, but she won't be reading them, and I like seeing the storyline, definitely. It's made us care about these characters more, which I really like seeing. So Matt brings Liz in to see the dead owner of the grill. They agree he didn't die of natural causes, and Matt says this is their life again now, not that the non-magic spell is gone. She collapses and he catches her. He's very concerned. Caroline goes to see the other brain cancer patient. She looks at his chart and reads that he also had an inoperable tumor that was zapped with radiation for months, and she sees that he's on a pile of painkillers and that are making him comfortable while he waits to die. And she says he's sorry. She reads that he had no next of kin and says sorry about that too. And basically, he had no family at all. So she says on her mom's chart she's the next of family, and it's all her mom has. She bites her wrist, puts it into his mouth, takes her arm, his eyes open, and the machine speeds up beeping. So she saved him. Basically, she tells him he won't remember this, and I love seeing that. I love seeing Caroline save this patient, and Kai cuts her cheek by putting his initial in it. She asks what he's doing, and he says he's just working on his self-control. Joe and Damon walk down the hall. Kai approaches down the other hall. He can't see them. Joe is cloaked, has them cloaked. He walks right past them, tosses his soda can into the trash, walks back away. Joe says it's working. Stefan asks Enzo why he's there. Enzo says he came to find out why he let him kill the con artist and is wondering about Sarah Nielsen and why he's keeping family tree secrets from from Damon. Because Stefan basically says that this is actually Zach Salvatore's daughter, and he says she was delivered in the ER after Damon killed her mother. And Enzo asks why he's keeping the secret from Damon. Stefan says once he tells Damon, he'll have nothing left to obsess about. And I have to say, this is really the only storyline I'm not that invested in. I'm really not invested into this storyline at all. I feel like they don't really know what to do with Enzo anymore, and they're only doing the storylines. They have a way to keep him on the show. And while I like this storyline, I think it's a very good storyline. It's my least favorite storyline on the show right now. I'm just going to say that. And it's really the only thing that I don't care about right now. I care about all the other storylines. I just don't really care about this one. So, and I should, but I really don't. I thought that the conclusion to it, I wasn't satisfied with the way it ended at all. I did not like the twist that she was faking it. I didn't like the twist that her real name was Monique. I have not been liking that at all, and I didn't like it in this episode. I liked it a little bit more, but I still really did not really care for that plot at all. So Caroline calls and tells him to get there and says she's conducting an experiment and says to hurry. Enzo says he's bored and he can keep the secret. Stefan takes a last look at Sarah and goes. And Elena gets loose of the ropes and sees Damon. She says Joe brought them there. She tells them that Kai melted her invisibility ring and they'll have to use the tunnels under the school. And Joe's nose is bleeding, but she says they're good. Liv tells Tyler how much stronger Luke is than her, and he tells her to walk right into her own grave if that's what she wants. And she says this was a mistake, but he says it wasn't. And I like seeing Tyler kind of motivate her. I definitely really enjoyed that. Luke comes down and says he's told their dad that they're out. Luke says he won't kill her. He says he can think for himself. Joe's coughing, says 3 people is a lot more work than 2. Kai is there and says magic is hard. Damon tells Joe to leave so he can kick Kai's ass. He asks where Elena is. Kai says he thought they were cloaking people. Damon throws a mop handle, thinks he stabbed Kai, but it turns out he actually stabbed Elena. And That's not good, obviously. So he goes to drag her away, but then Damon shoots Kai with a crossbow. Alaric's there to grab up Joe. The cancer patient is up at the snack machine getting munchies. And Caroline tells Stefan he was dying an hour ago. She says it's literally magic. She saved him because of that. Stefan asks why they've never heard this before. She says she needs him to believe in, asks him to take her home to her mom. So there is a way for them to cure her mom with, basically of cancer. So the guy does seem to be fine. They go, and Damon pulls the mop handle out of Elena, and she says there must be another splinter in her heart. He tells her he can get it, and she says to say anything he needs to say now. She thinks she's dying, but he says no. Then she laughs. She was joking the whole time, and I thought that was really good. She smiles at him, and I like seeing this playful side of them. I definitely really enjoyed seeing that. It was a lot more fun to see that than them just avoiding each other. That was really annoying, and I like that we're out of that stage now. So Lark and Joe come up, and Damon says perfect timing. Lark asks if she's okay, and she says she's never felt more alive. Enzo waits the art show, talks to the curator about Sarah's photography. She thinks he's drunk off the free wine they served. He looks around, talks about revenge served ice cold. He compels her to box up all of Sarah's photos from him. They have Kai drugged heavily and unconscious at Alaric's. They're going to keep him there while Joe trains. And Elena asks Damon if they're... And I really like this scene because one of the things I've been saying that I really want to see was, again, this human aspect of it. You know, Elena can't get those memories back. She's stuck with them. So basically, Elena and Damon have to start over, and I love seeing them this way. I love seeing them basically doing whatever they can to start over and just trying to, continue their relationship. So Elena asks Damon to throw him for dinner tomorrow. She tells him not to sulk, and he agrees. And I really enjoyed that they had that conversation. I mean, she told him, don't sulk about it. Let's stop sulking. Let's try to actually make this work. And I like seeing that. I like seeing that they want to try to make it work. I like seeing that they want to do something about it because it seems like they've been avoiding it. It seems like they haven't been wanting to do anything about it. And I like seeing them want to do something about it. Definitely, I really like seeing that. I thought that was really, really good. So he tells Damon he thinks Joe can get a grip on this, but Damon says Joe isn't strong enough. He says Kai absorbed a spell the size of the city, and Alaric says she has to beat him, but Damon says she can't. Damon says, okay, they toast to the, basically, Alaric says that she just has to, and Damon is saying she can, but Alaric saying, no, she can't, she has to. So they toast their women, loving them for their crazy, messed up decisions. And basically, their plot's now going to be Joe versus Kai versus Liv. That's going to be the plot now, is, Joe versus Kai. And I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen there. That's going to be very cool to see. So Caroline asks Stefan if he's Sarah's uncle Stefan, and she says keeping him an eye on her all these years is very noble. She promises to keep a secret. She thanks him for coming with her and helping keep an eye on her mom and all the things he's done. And he thanks her hand. She says thanks again. She says, wish me luck. She heads inside, closes the door, and her mom and Matt are waiting inside, and he says they were just about to watch another movie. And for the rest of the episode, this is basically the plot. And she thanks Matt for staying with her, and he takes her off. Caroline tells her mom she talked to the expert at Duke, and she said the doctors are doing everything right. There's nothing they can do to cure her. Caroline says that's one doctor's opinion. Caroline says that she's dying and they're out of options. She tells her she gave her blood to a cancer patient and cured him. She says her blood healed him, and we see the guy lying in his bed at the hospital, and Caroline says she's not ready to lose her yet. She says she's supposed to be there for her college graduation and wedding. She tells her mom she wants her to live for her, and I loved seeing this scene. It really shows how much Caroline cares about her mom, and I mean, the scenes between them are just so good. Candace Akula and the girl that plays Liz just work so well together in these scenes. I love seeing them in scenes together. They're so heartbreaking. They're so good to watch. We see the guy in his bed looking around. He starts to cough and twitch. Caroline bites her hand and puts the blood in a cup. The guy has a seizure thing, spits up the blood, collapses to the floor. She drinks. He begs for help. Caroline tells her everything is going to be okay. And the question is Caroline going to save her? Is Caroline going to save her? Because that's how the episode ends. And it seems like this guy is going to die. That's what it seems like, that you can't take blood from more than one person. And if that's true, then that's going to be very interesting to see. Because, again, they've never seen anything like this before. They've never seen, the cure, be able to cure someone who has cancer. They've never seen that before. And it seems like you have to do it responsibly. You can't just keep doing it to random people. You know, she did to this guy, and now it seems like he's dying. So that's going to be interesting to see. And what I kind of feel like is going to happen is that Caroline's going to try to save all these people, but they're just going to keep dying. And if that's true, and that's going to be very interesting to see, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there, because I think that's a really cool storyline. Now, overall, guys, I really enjoyed this episode, minus the Sarah stuff. I didn't really care about that, but I do really like where Caroline and Stefan are right now. I like that they're in this position of kind of almost, they're very close to being a couple. They are. As I said, by the end of the season, they're going to be together. This episode just proved it by the end of the season, definitely. So now we kind of have Kai versus Joe, which is going to be very interesting to see. I'm looking forward to seeing how that whole thing is going to work out, how they're going to play with that. Because I've been looking forward to seeing what they were going to do with that. Also, Paul Wesley directed this episode. I forgot to say that. Basically, that he directed this episode, and he did a pretty good job. I mean, the thing with his last episode is that it did not feel like the Vampire Diaries. It felt like some other weird show. So this one just felt like a normal Vampire Diaries episode, which I really liked, definitely. Because last episode he directed was Resident Evil. That was a very good episode, but it was that season 5 was very all over the place. So this was definitely better for him to direct. I was very happy he directed this episode because he did a very good job directing it. The other thing I do want to say about this episode is that I kind of switched gears a little bit, because now it's no longer Liv versus Luke, it's Joe versus Kai, and in the next episode, Liv and Luke have to try to convince their father, you know, that basically Joe and Kai are going to be doing this now in the merge ceremony. So I definitely feel like we know what the plot of what the rest of the season is going to be. It's going to be all about the merge ceremony, and Elena and Damon, I like where they are as well. We're there. Just going on date for dinner. My question is it going to work out between the two of them? Because it seems like they're in this position where I think I could work out, but you never know. I mean, I've said it before, I think her memories were, erased on purpose. I think they were meant to happen, honestly, because they wanted her to start over. So the question is, are they going to start over? Are they going to be okay? Are they going to get back to where they were? I really don't know what's going to happen between them. We'll have to see, definitely. That's going to be very interesting to see. Now, Caroline, again, I really don't think this is going to work with Liz. I want it to work, but I don't know if it's going to work. We'll have to see what happens there. Are Liv and Luke really going back to Portland? It seems like at this point that I don't think they are, because Joe and Kai are doing this now. So what's the point of them going back to Portland if the merge ceremony isn't happening between the two of them? That's going to be interesting to see. Joe and Kai, I can't wait to see that fight between them. That's one of the things I'm most looking forward to. Also, what do you think of this Sarah storyline? Do you really care about it? I just feel like they gave Enzo something to do to give him something to do. I really find it boring. I don't find it interesting. I don't find it as something they haven't done before. It seems very common. It seems like something I've seen before. And it's nothing different. It really isn't. So, it doesn't really shock me or anything, and it's kind of just like, it's a good storyline, but I've seen it all before. You know, it's one of those, like, been there, done that kind of storylines. I enjoy it, but the other storylines are so fresh and original. I'm into every single storyline so much more than that one, and that's really my only downside with the episode. Other than that, this was my favorite episode of the season, by far. Love this episode. I was so into it. I was surprised by how into it I really was, because I wasn't as into it the last two episodes. I love seeing so much in this episode. It was a great episode, and I will see you guys in my next video. Let me know what you guys saw this episode overall. I thought this was the return of the show. Definitely, the return of the show. The past two episodes kind of were like, it was okay, but now that we're done with the Elena drama, it seems like we are. It seems like now it's just going to be, like, fun between them, which I like seeing. I like seeing the side of them just having fun with each other. And if they keep doing that, then I'm definitely going to enjoy that, because I don't really like seeing this Elena drama. I'm kind of tired of it. So I like seeing them just have fun with each other, definitely. Of course, there's that question of, is their relationship going to work? But that's for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of Rain. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.